To begin with, once the unit is installed by an authorized installer, turn the unit on and power the unit up. You'll notice that when it cycles up the first time, it will have several lighted displays. To begin with, the first button indicates turning the solution on or off. All of the buttons are best operated by using the touch point of the finger. They typically don't respond well when they're poked at, and these are gentle touch switches. So a gentle touch of your finger will turn these on. The second switch indicates the strength of the various cleaners. So when we touch this, we can see that we have a low level for low sanitizer level, a medium setting for medium sanitizer level, or a high setting for a high level of sanitizing. When we touch the control button again, all of these are turned off. If you feel you ever need to rinse the machine, or you just want it to run water through the machine, set the machine to the sanitizer setting, and then set the intensity level to off. This means that none of the electronic components will come on, but it will allow water to flow through the InstaFlow. For the purpose of this setting, we would set this at this particular customer's location to the mid-level. Most often, depending on which you're running, our liquid electrolyte or the sanitizer, you can set the machine for either the low setting or the mid setting. The only time you really need to run sanitizer at the highest level is if you have a very dirty grout floor or you have an infectious breakout and you're using our mist technology to mist the building or other high-level disinfection. Otherwise, most applications, the InstaFlow will operate appropriately at the low or mid-level setting. The third control controls which one of the three solutions the InstaFlow is manufacturing. At the bottom setting, that's the sanitizer. When we push that again, we move it to the heavy-duty setting. Now you notice at the heavy-duty setting that it stays locked at the mid-level. It's pre-programmed to at this level. No matter how many times the user tries to change it, the HD setting is appropriately set so that it will use exactly the correct amount of heavy-duty catalyst every time that it works. When we take it up to the glass setting, you notice that it presets it to the low setting. That's because the InstaFlow has been pre-programmed to know exactly how much of the glass and general purpose cleaner that is required. So again, no matter how many times somebody tries to push the setting button, the machine has been pre-programmed to build exactly the right amount of supplement each and every time, so that the pH is consistent and the solutions work consistently each and every time. To change the setting again, we simply touch and you can see that it changes back to sanitizer. So in a quick review, the three buttons are, this turns on and off the solution and engages the pumps inside of the machine. This sets the setting, and really the only area where the settings can be changed is at the sanitizer level. And then this chooses the sanitizer. It's really very simple. It's very similar to a traditional chemical dispenser in what it does. Now we see that there are two other settings here. There is the F meter. That's a flow meter. That tells you how many liters per minute are flowing through the machine. This is not measured in gallons per minute because it's more precise to the tens. So the flow meter means liters per minute that are flowing through the machine. And then the amp meter tells us how many amps of electricity are running over the plates inside the machine. When making the cleaners, typically the amp meter will read 0.1 to 0.4. That's pretty typical. When making the sanitizer or the disinfectant, we'll see as we operate the machine that this number can run as high as 23. The higher the number, the higher the level of disinfection. Most typically, this number is going to operate somewhere between the 0.9 and 18 setting. There's one additional setting that comes on the inside of the InstaFlow. This setting only needs to be set once and should typically be set and then locked with a convenient lock that's placed on the machine. This is the flow rate meter, and you'll notice that the flow rate meter tells us exactly different levels of what we call free available chlorine. Typically this will be set in the green setting. This also controls the amount of fresh water that flows into the machine. The lower the setting, that means the more water that can come in. That is red here at the flow meter dial on the front of the machine. The more that we raise this towards the red, what will happen is the chlorine levels will rise, or the disinfectant level will rise, and what will happen is the flow rate will go down. This number will decrease. The InstaFlow has the ability to operate between as low as 1 liter per minute all the way up to 3.5 liters per minute. That's its operating range. We're going to take this wide mouth lid off this tank. We're going to remove the lid of the heavy duty cleaner. And again, it comes with a convenient peel and pull. Because these are organic products and natural, you don't want to put your fingers into the dye. This is all food grade product and it's totally safe, but you don't necessarily want green fingers. So you just open this up, pour the entire jar. With the heavy duty cleaner, we pour the entire jar into the tank, seal the jar. Each of the supplement jars are 100% recyclable. And remember, this small jar replaces typically 8 1-gallon containers of toxic chemical that you would typically use. Now we'll take water from just a dedicated water source, and we always fill with cold water. We never fill with hot. And so we're going to turn on the water. Normally, you would only fill the tank with 4 of these bottles. But the very first time, we're going to use 6 of these bottles so that we can build up the sufficient level of sanitizer in this tank. Now that you've put in the 6 bottles of the sanitizer cleaner, now just as we did with the heavy duty, we're going to fill this tank with cold water. There's no need to put in hot water. We're just going to fill the tank . With the sanitizer cleaner, the solution that becomes the sanitizer product needs to brine out, and it'll need up to 3 to 4 hours the very first time when the tank is filled, just the first time the machine is installed. That's not the case after it's been used a couple of times. Then the tank is pre-seasoned. So now we're going to convert this InstaFlow from using the sanitizer to what we call our liquid electrolyte. The difference is that the sanitizer is all shipped in these small granular dry product bottles. The liquid electrolyte is shipped in these gallon jugs. The liquid electrolyte is pre-brined and ready to go. It allows for the machine to develop a higher level of disinfectant than the sanitizer can. Simply put, this is a ready-to-use formula that allows the machine to build a higher level of disinfectant. So, to make the conversion, it's very, very simple. I would have a technician do it unless you have someone who's very technically trained. Take the line that is dedicated to this tank and simply remove this tank. We're going to change this tank out. We've got a replacement line here. This one's a little longer than we need, but for the purpose of the video, it will suffice. These lines come with the InstaFlow when they're brand new. We'd simply take this out of here, put the liquid electrolyte here, and remove the cap. Once the cap was out, we take the pickup tube out of the original tank. The pickup tubes are in the back of each one of the tanks. The pickup tube is completely reusable and it's adaptable to this tank. We simply screw this down into the tank, and we're going to remove this line here. This line is no longer necessary, and we're going to take this line, and now we just simply insert it in, and then that's in place. Now this line is hooked up, and now the machine will run the... Let's go through the controls one last time, and this time we'll cycle the machine. So we've chosen to set the machine on glass cleaner. We know that the machine is automatically set at the level setting here, and when we push this button, you'll hear the machine run, and you'll see the flow meter work. You can hear the pump running, and down below you'll be able to see the liquid coming through the hose as it pulls up inside of the machine from the catalyst tanks. And that means that the line, if it's color-coded, is being fed up into the InstaFlow. When we look back up to the panel indicates that it's running at 3 liters per minute. That's how this customer asked to have it configured. When we're making the cleaners, the heavy duty or the glass, the M meter will be set quite low. At 0.1, as I said, up to 0.4, depending on the level of water quality that we're working with. When we're done making solution, we simply push the button, and that turns off the machine. It's important to note that all InstaFlow OSG technology devices are configured with automatic shutoff. And if you wish to have your InstaFlow configured to have large reserve tanks, up to 200 gallons, the machine can be custom set up by your installer or your dealer. This is not something the owner should be doing with the machine, but it does. All the machines come pre-wired with automatic catalyst shutoff and automatic solution containment tanks, so that if you want to keep a large amount of the glass at general purpose, or the sanitizer, or the heavy duty cleaner, you can do that.